Hello again and welcome back to my channel. The tutorial that I'm starting today is the Corylus Throw. There is a written pattern available on Ravelry and I'm going to do this video in parts so that you can work it along with me. I've used double knit yarn and a 5mm hook. The colours that I'm using today are navy, turquoise, white, gold and an orangey shade, but feel free to use whatever colours you've got in or that you want your colour theme to be. If you've followed any of my other throws that I've got videos for, you'll be quite used to my terminology, but I'll just point out that I do use US terms for the stitches. To start, we're going to use a slip knot onto the hook and we're going to work 4 chain, and then we're going to join into that first chain on the hook with a slip stitch. So we've got a little circle there. I don't really like to use the magic circles because too many people find that they actually unravel and come undone. I've just zoomed in a little bit there so that you can see better the stitches. So we're now going to work 12 double crochets into this centre circle here. So the first stitch, as always, will be 3 chain, and that's going to count as the first stitch, and then we're just going to work 12 doubles. And just for anybody who's new to crochet, I will explain what each of the stitches is as we come across them along the pattern. So to do a double, we yarn over into that centre circle, pick up a loop, yarn over, we're going to pull through 2 once, we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 twice, and that's where we get the double. So we're going to carry on and do exactly the same another 10 times, because we had the 3 chain as the starting stitch, and then the first one that I showed you how to do plus 10 will give us the 12 stitches. And it is quite important as well to count the stitch count as we go along the row so that we've got the right amount for the next row. So to count, just count the tops of the stitches. So we've got the chain 3 there, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to do the last one so that we've got 12, and then we're just going to join into the top of those 3 chain that we started the row with a slip stitch to fasten off, and then you can pull tight the circle, and I'll work over this tail end of yarn as we do the next row. So for the next row we're going to work 2 doubles into each of these stitches. That will give us 24 stitches after the end of the second row. So if you want to change colour for this next row, you can just snip off the yarn and pull it through that stitch that we've got left there on the hook and pull it tight, and we can work the ends in as we go along. So I'm going to use a different colour for the next row, so if you want to do that, if you don't want to change colour, or you're working from a cake that changes colour automatically, you can just start straight away by doing the 3 chain into the stitch and then a double into that same stitch. So for row 2 I'm going to start with the turquoise blue wool, and I'm going to start with a standing double on this round, and I do tend to do that on each starting stitch of each round. If you've not done a standing double crochet, I'll show you how that's done. So we start with the slip knot onto your hook, and then we work as if we were going to work a normal double. So we're going to yarn over and then into the stitch, which is the top 2 loops here, pick up the loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So we're actually starting with a stitch rather than the 3 chain. And we're going to work another double into that same stitch there. And then we do 2 doubles in every stitch all the way round, and when you get to the end, just make sure that you've got the 24 stitches. So we've got 1 and 2, and then the same again into this next stitch. When we come to where we fastened off on the last one, make sure that you only use 1 as the stitch and don't go into that next space. The next stitch is this one here. And as you can see, I'm working over the tail end of the yarn as I go along, catching it with each stitch. So we've now got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and then the last 2 doubles into this stitch make the 24. And again, we're going to fasten off and start with a new colour for round 3. So we just, again, if you've done 3 chain as the first stitch, you'll join into the top chain of those 3. If you've done a standing double, you just join into that stitch and then snip off the yarn, pull through the loop and fasten off. So there we've got row 1 and row 2 completed. So we're now ready to start row 3, and again we start with a slip knot onto the hook, and I like to start the first stitch of the next row away from where I fastened off the previous row. It just means that all of the working in of the ends are not all going to be in the same place. So we're going to work a double in the first double of any 2 where we've got a block of 2 and then we've got a space and then a block of 2. We're going to start in that first stitch of the 2 and we're going to work a double into that first stitch. Again, if you're carrying on with the same colour, you would just do 3 chain in this first stitch as your double. If you've done a standing double like mine, you'll just carry on then and do a double into the next stitch. So we've worked a double into each of those 2. We're now going to work a front post treble into the DC, the double crochet of row 1, and it's this one that sits between the 2 blocks of 2. So to do a front post treble, we're going to wrap the yarn around twice. We go behind the stitch and catch up the loop. We're then going to yarn over and pull through 2 once, yarn over and pull through 2 twice, yarn over and pull through 2 3 times, and that forms the front post treble. We're going to carry on with that same repeat all the way around. So the next stitch is going to be a double into the next double, and then we've got a double into the second of those 2, and then we start again with the front post treble. So yarn over twice, down to the stitch from row 1, go behind the post of the stitch and pick up the loop, yarn over through through 2 once, yarn over through 2 twice, yarn over through 2 3 times, and because it's 3 times, this is why it's called a treble stitch. And then we're back to the double, double, and then we're going to do the front post treble around the stitch from row 1. So we're just going to carry on all the way around until we get to the end. The very last stitch will be the front post treble, and I'll meet you for that stitch. So as you can see, I've worked all the way around, working the front post treble into each of the double crochets from row 1 and 2 doubles into the stitches from row 2. So the very last stitch is the front post double around that last stitch from, oops, yarn split slightly there. And then we're going to join, as always, with a slip stitch into that first stitch that we started. I'm going to snip off the yarn and pull it through. So that's row 3 completed. I'm going to do each row at the beginning in a different colour. We will be using the same colour yarn for a few rows later on in the pattern. Because we've increased on this row, you'll have more stitches, because we've got 12 of the trebles and we've got 24 of the doubles. So if you just want to check that you've got the 36 stitches that we need for this next row, I'm working this next one in the orange, and it's a different stitch again. We're going to work a back post double around every stitch. So again, I'm not going to start where I ended off on this one. I'll start further round at this side, and you can start on any stitch at all. We're just going to do the same stitch around each of these stitches. So where we did the front post on the trebles here, we're now working a back post, so we come in from the back around the front of the stitch. So the first one I'm going to do will be a standing back post double. So we yarn over, we come from the back across the front of the stitch, pick up the loop. We've now got 3 on the hook, yarn over through 2 and yarn over through 2, and then we're going to do the same again around the next stitch. So yarn over, come from the back in front of the stitch, pick up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's going to cause this ridge here, and you'll see the colour of your stitch underneath there. So we just carry on all the way around, working a back post double around every stitch. So once you get into the rhythm of the stitch, it won't take too long to go all the way around. So I'll not bore you letting you watch me do the whole 36 stitches. I'll carry on. If you want to pause your video, and we'll meet when we get round to the other side there. So I've come all the way around, working a back post into each stitch. So as always, we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch, pull the loop through, snip off the yarn and pull through. So we're now ready for row 5, and again I'm going to start with a slip knot onto the hook. I'm going to start in any stitch. It doesn't matter which stitch you start with, and we're going to work 2 doubles into the first stitch. So working a standing double, there we've got 1, and a second double into that same stitch, so we've got 2 in 1. We're now going to work a double into each of the next 2, so we've got 1 and 2. We're going to carry on with that pattern repeat all the way around. So it's those working over 3 stitches. We're going to do 2 doubles into the first one and then 1 double into each of the next 2. I'll do another couple so that we can make sure that we're on the right pattern repeat. So we've got 1, 2 into the next stitch, and then 1 into each of the next 2 stitches, 2 into the next one, oops, just do that again, and then 1 into each of the next 2. Again, we've got 2 into that next one, and if you look at your work, you can actually see that we've got 2 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2, and then we've again got a double in each of the next 2. So again, if you want to pause the video and work all the way around, the last stitch that you do will be just a double into this one here before the 2 doubles that we did at the start, and I'll meet you when we get to the end of the row. If you want to do a quick count of your stitches in this row, we've added another 12 stitches, so we're now at 48 stitches. And again, I'm going to snip off the yarn, pull the loop through and fasten off. If you find at this point you've got quite a few ends and you want to work them in, feel free to work them all in before we carry on onto the next row. So this next row, row 6, we're going to square off the blanket, and I'm going to start with the yellow yarn that I started off with on that very first row. So again, I've worked a slip knot onto the hook, and we're going to start between any of the 2 stitch in 1, and we're going to start in between those 2 stitches. So if you find one of your blocks of 2, and we're going to start in between those 2 stitches there, we're going to work 2 doubles. So the first one I've done is a standing double, and then another double into that same space, and then we're going to work a chain 1, and we're going to do another 2 doubles all into that same space between the 2 doubles there. We're now going to work a back post double around the next 12 stitches. Well, the first stitch is this one that's the second double of the 2 that we've worked between. So again, from the back to the front, pick up the loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So that's the first back post double. We do 12 of those, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And you'll notice that that very last stitch there, the very last back post double, is in the first double of a set of 2 doubles. So we're going to repeat from here for all 4 sides. So we're back into the next corner now, and the corner stitches are going to sit between these 2 doubles here. So into the space, don't forget it's the space rather than a stitch, going to do 2 doubles, a chain 1 and 2 more doubles all into that same space, and that's going to form the second corner. So the next 12 stitches we're going to do the back post double, and don't forget the first stitch is this one at the other side of the space where we've just made the corner. So from the back to the front of that stitch, and then we're just going to do the same as we did along that first side, where we're going to back post double 12 stitches. So all 4 sides will be exactly the same. Oops. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just move those tail ends out of the way. 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And then we repeat twice again what we've done twice. So into the corner space, which is the very next space after this back post double that we've just worked, we've got 2 doubles, a chain 1 and 2 more doubles. So we're going to work 12 back post doubles and then another corner, and then we're going to work the last 12 back post doubles, which will bring us back to that starting stitch. So on each side we'll have the corners with 2 doubles, a chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then there will be 12 stitches along the side and then the next corner. So if you want to pause the video at this point, and I'll meet you when we get round to this last stitch. As I said at the beginning of the of the first row, I'm using double knit yarn, and the throw will take roughly 800 grams. So I've got 2 balls of each of the colours, and the finished size, depending on your tension, will be between 48 and 52 inches square. Each row from now on will have the same stitches along each side, and all of the corners will also be exactly the same. If you're working with a different weight of yarn, if you were doing it in an Aran with probably a 6.5mm hook or a 6mm hook, obviously the blanket will come out bigger. If you're doing it with 4-ply on a smaller hook, it will come out that little bit smaller. But if you've got roughly 800 to 900 grams of yarn, that will make a decent sized blanket, and you can stop and start at any point along the way. If you want to make a baby size blanket, you can stop when it reaches the size that you want. So I'm just going to do this very last back post double. We're going to join into that corner with a slip stitch. I'm going to snip off the yarn and pull through. So we've now got our square, and the blanket is going to stay square right up to the end. So on to row 6, which I'm working in the turquoise blue colour. I've started again, as always, with a slip knot onto the hook, and I'm going to start each row now in the corner, into the corner space, so you'll be able to see where the corners are, where we've got the 2 stitches with the chain one in between. So I'm going to work 3 doubles into that first corner space. I'll do a standing double as the first one, so yarn over, pick up the loop as normal, through 2 and through 2. I'm going to do another 2 doubles into that same space, and then I'm going to work 6 chains. We're going to use the loop that those 6 chains form later on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and we're going to join in that first chain with a slip stitch. So if you come back to that very first chain stitch that we did, and just pick up a loop and pull it straight through without any yarn overs, and we've now formed a loop. We're going to, as I say, we're going to use that loop later on. And now we're going to work 2 more doubles into that same space. We've got no chain in the corner of this one apart from that 6 chain loop. So altogether we've got 5 stitches that form the corner. 1, 2, 3, the loop, and then another 2. So we've got 5 stitches altogether. We're now going to work cross stitch doubles across this row. So we're going to skip that first stitch, and then we're going to do a double into the next stitch, and then we're going to work a double into the stitch that we've just missed. So we yarn over, come back into that first double after the corner and do a double, and that will form the first cross. And we're going to do that all the way along. So we skip the next stitch, work a double into the next one, and then we work the next double in that stitch that we missed. So we come back over and cross the 2 stitches, I'm going to do that all the way along. So skip a stitch, work a double, and then work the second double into the stitch that we've just missed. And the same again over the next 2 stitches. So each of these crosses are worked over 2 stitches from the row before. So skip a stitch, work a double, and then the second double into the skipped stitch. And the last cross will be worked over the 2 doubles that form the first part of the corner stitch. So again, we skip a stitch into that second stitch, and then we come back and work the second half of the cross into the stitch that we've just skipped. And that brings us back up to the corner space again here between the 2 doubles. So again, we're going to work 3 doubles into that corner. 1, 2 and 3, and then we do 6 chain, and then we join with a slip stitch into the first chain to form a loop. So that's the pattern repeat now for the 4 sides. So I'll work the next the next side with you. We do the second part of the corner, which is just 2 doubles, which means you'll end up with 5 doubles in that corner space. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the loop in the middle, and then we skip that first stitch, work a double into the next one, and then do a double into the skipped stitch. Skip the next one and work a double, and then work the second half of the cross into that skipped stitch. And we carry on along this next side until you reach the corner. So the corners again are going to be 3 doubles, 6 chains that form the loop, join with a slip stitch into the first chain so that it's a fastened loop, 2 doubles, and then we're going to work a cross stitch all the way along to the next corner, and I'll meet you when we get round to the very last stitch. Just a quick point, when you've done the 5 stitches that we've got here in the corner, to do that first cross you might have to just pull those corner stitches to one side, so that when you do the first half of the cross we've skipped a stitch, but then it becomes a little bit hidden, so you can just push these across so that you can get to that second stitch there, and then carry on with the crosses to the next corner. So I've come all the way around, and I'm going to join into that first double with a slip stitch, snip off the yarn and fasten off. So now along each side we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crosses, and then we've got the 5 stitches in the corner with the loop, and then again we should have 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crosses to the next corner, 5 stitches, and so on. So if you just want to do a quick count up of the crosses, make sure you've got 8 along each side and 5 stitches in each corner with a loop on each corner point. And on to row 8. I'm going to start again. I'm working this one in the white with a slip knot. And this time we're going to start I'm going to work away from where we finished off that one and start into this corner before. We're going to start in the first 2 stitches of these 5. So normally we would have started in the centre of the stitches there, but we're not going to do that this time. We're going to work into the first 2 stitches. So we're going to do front post doubles. So we yarn over, go in front, take the yarn behind the post, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're going to do the same into that second stitch. So we've got 2 front post doubles. We're going to keep the chain behind the work here rather than letting it come to the front like that. We're going to keep it behind. Now into the stitch that we've done the loop from, holding that loop behind, we're going to work 2 doubles, a chain 1, 1, 2, chain 1, and another 2 doubles into that same stitch, and that's going to form the corner. So we've got 2 doubles, a chain 1 and 2 doubles, and we've got that loop that we made on the last row behind the work. So we do exactly the same with all 4 corners, that we're working the 2 front post doubles, and then we work 2 doubles, a chain 1 and 2 doubles into the centre stitch, and then we're going to work a front post double around the next 2. So we've worked into that centre one of the 5. We're going to do a front post double around that first one and a front post double around the second one. So the corner is complete there, and the little loop is sitting behind. And then we're now going to work a cross stitch double over each of the cross stitch doubles that we did on the last row. So again, we're going to skip that first stitch and work a double into the second stitch there, and then we're going to come back and work the second half of the cross as a double into the skipped stitch. We do that all the way along. So skip a stitch, work a double into the next stitch, and then work the second double into the skipped stitch. So again, we'll have 8 cross stitches along each side, but we've now got 2 front post doubles and then 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles in the corner space, and then again we've got the 2 front post doubles. So I'll just do that next corner again. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crosses, and then the next 2 stitches we do a front post double. So there's 1 and a second one, and that brings us to the middle stitch of the corner from row 7. So we put the loop to the back of your work, and then we're going to work into this middle stitch here of the 5. We're going to work 2 doubles, a chain 1 and 2 doubles. and you can see there that we've got the little loop sitting behind. And then we're going to front post double the last 2 stitches of that corner block of 5. So there's the second corner completed, and then we're going to do the same all the way along. A cross stitch double over each of the cross stitch doubles from the previous row, and then we're back to the next corner where we do 2 front post doubles, pop the little loop behind and work into the top of the middle double and work the corner, which is 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then we do 2 front post doubles around those last 2 stitches of the 5, and then we're back on with the crosses. So if you want to pause the video and work all the way around, I'll meet you when we get to the end. So when we've worked all the way around and done those last 8 crosses along that final side, we've already done the 2 front post stitches that started the corner. We're going to work a slip stitch, join, snip off the yarn and pull through. And we're now on to row 9, and for this row we're going to pull the little chain loops that we had and we kept at the back of your work. We're going to now pull that through to the front in between the 2 lots of 2 double crochets that formed the corner. And we're going to do that with each one. So separate the 2 where the chain 1 space is and pull the chain 6 through to the front. We're going to just do that on all 4 corners, so that now the loops are sitting at the front. We're going to work into this 6 chain loop that's going to form the next corner. So into that chain loop we're going to do a standing single crochet. So we just go through, pick up 1 loop, yarn over and just go through once. We're going to chain 2 and then we do another single into that same loop. So the loop's sitting at the front and we've got 1 single, 2 chains and 1 single into that loop. We're now going to work from row 8 into what on mine here is the white row, and we're going to work 4 front post doubles. So we go into the first stitch, that's the 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we've got a single, a chain 2 and a single in that loop that we've pulled to the front, and then we've got 4 front post doubles. We're now going to back post double the next 16 stitches. So those 16 stitches are the 8 cross stitches that we did on the previous row. So just yarn over from the front to the back and work the back post doubles. So there's 1 around each part of the cross stitches, but we're just working each row into each stitch in turn. And as long as you've had 8 crosses on the last 2 previous rows, we'll have the right amount of back post stitches. So just work along the 16 back post doubles. Just coming up to my 15 and 16, and then you'll see that we had 2 front post doubles from the previous row, and the 2 doubles that were the corner. We're going to front post double those 4 stitches. So there's 1 and 2 3 and 4. Make sure that the 6 chain loop is still there at the front rather than slipping back through to the wrong side. Into that loop again we're going to do the corner, which is 1 single, 2 chain and 1 single, and then we start again with the pattern repeat for the side, which is 4 front post doubles. So that's 2 stitches from the previous corner, and then the 2 front post doubles, we're going to front post double those 2. So the corner has 4 front post doubles, 1 single, 2 chains and 1 single into the loop, and then 4 front post doubles, and then we do the 16 back post doubles along to the next corner. So if you want to pause the video at this point and work the next 3 sides exactly the same, and just check that you've got 16 back post doubles along the sides, 4 front post doubles, and then your corners, which are the single, chain 2 single, 4 front post, 16 back post, and then we're back to the next corner where we start the corner stitches again. So I'll let you pause the video and work your 4 sides round to that last stitch. So there we've gone all the way around, and I've joined the last stitch into that first single in the loop with a slip stitch to fasten off. I'm now going to do the last row in this first part. I'm going to call the video the Corylus Square because it does actually make quite a nice square on its own, but I will in future do the rest of the blanket in video installments. But if you want to carry on, if you can't wait for then and you want to carry on and make the blanket, the written pattern is on Ravelry, so you can get that from there. So the last row of this part, we're going to start in the corner stitch where we'd got a single, 2 chains and a single, and into that chain space there we're going to work 2 doubles. I've started with a standing double, and then chain 1 and 2 more doubles, and then be careful not to skip that first single because that's the first stitch of this side, and we're going to work a double in each stitch all the way along. So we've done 1 in each of the 4 front post doubles. One, two, three. Oops, I think I've gone slightly wrong there. I've got 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles, yeah, and then we've got a double into that single, a double in each of the next 4 front post doubles, and then we've got a double in each of the 16 doubles along the side. Four doubles into each of these front post doubles, and then the last double will sit into the single of the corner. So if you want to get a notification of when the next video is live on YouTube, if you subscribe to the channel and just click notifications, it will let you know that the next part is live. And I've used the navy yarn for this row, so I've actually used each of the 5 colours twice into this square. And I mentioned before about the amount of yarn. I usually get 2 100-gram balls of each colour, which gives me 1,000 grams, but I usually only use about 800 grams to 900 grams altogether for my blankets that I've got on YouTube. But I always think it's better to get that little bit more so that I don't run out of a particular colour. So I've come all the way along. I've done the last double there into the single. We're now working into the 2 chain space, working 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles, and then don't forget that first single is the first stitch along the side, and again it's just a straightforward double crochet into each stitch along the side. So I'll let you pause the video again and I'll meet you when we get to the end of the row. Coming along to the last few stitches along this side. I hope you've enjoyed working this square along with me. If you've got any questions, feel free to just pop a comment under the video and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Here we are, we've got the last double into the double, and then don't forget that very last double sits into the single, and then we join with a slip knot, snip off the yarn and pull it through. So the square should sit nice and flat there. And depending on tension, they'll all be roughly the same size. Feel free to use the square for anything else that you'd like to make. If you want to make a bag or use it to join squares together, you can use it for whatever you'd like. Just like to say thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.